don't talk about that much because everybody's looking for the tangible to believe. I believe through his word. He said, if I'm there, he'll be there. So he's there. What don't feel real, not talking about feelings. What don't seem like he's there, not talking about what it seems. If he said he's there, he's there. When are you going to teach yourself, and when am I going to teach myself to just believe the word? When I live apart from what it seems. A lot of people say, well, I do that. It just feels like I'm going through the motions. There you go again. It just feels. Stay there long enough and teach your heart of knowing. Teach your heart of knowing. If you don't hang out with each other, you'd never get to know each other. People aren't married because they just walk up to each other and say, hey, man, I dig you. I mean, I guess it happens in Vegas, but it probably falls apart in a day or two. But if you're sitting here married, you have a history with your spouse. You hung out. You went out together. You spent time. You grew to know each other. At some level, you communicated. And I wasn't real good at that with my wife. She didn't even know I didn't want children when we got married. We just got married. But we hung out for 9 months, talked, and we got to the point where we got married. What I'm saying is if you don't be with him and spend time with him, how will you ever get to truly know him? Listening to a sermon teaches you about him. Getting alone with him is knowing him. If you just learn about him and get a whole bunch of knowledge of him without getting intimate with him, the knowledge will turn on you in time and you'll buy into condemnation because you'll judge your life based on what you know, and your life won't look like what it should based on what you know. But it's not knowing about him that transforms you, it's knowing him. He said, if you love, we said it yesterday, if you love, it's because you've been born of God and you know God. If you don't love, it's because you don't know God. That means, watch, that means you can't know him without being so influenced by him that you're transformed and changed to be more like him. What he's saying is if you don't love, it's because you don't know God. That means you can't know him without becoming love. He's so amazing. The goal, I said it all weekend, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, it's kind of midweek, isn't it? Late week. I said it the whole time. You can't miss this. You can't just receive the love of God. The goal is becoming the love of God. That's the goal of the gospel. Why? Because when Adam was created, he was created for God's image and likeness, and God is love. The day he ate the tree is when everything died and was lost. So watch this. So Adam was one with God, walking in the cool of the day, like father, like son. He's fulfilled, he doesn't have need, he doesn't have lack. The only thing he's missing is an avenue to manifest and multiply the love. That's why God made man, because God is who he is. He makes man, gives him a body to flesh out who he made him to be. Let's stop just believing our flesh has to always be evil. Let's live in conversion. Our flesh was evil because our hearts were evil. We got new hearts. Yeah? You know how I've prayed for years? I thank you, Father. I live in a spirit. I have a soul and a body. My spirit rules. My soul agrees, and my flesh says, yes, sir. I've prayed that way 1,000 times when you weren't looking. Rather than, well, you know, the flesh is weak, brother. Jesus makes one comment outside of prayer. Watch and pray, because your spirit's willing, your flesh is weak. He's talking about outside of prayer. And then we say, flesh is weak, brother. And it's our justification for living weak. Well, you're not to live in the flesh. You live by the Spirit. And if you live by the Spirit, Galatians 5, you won't fulfill the lust of the flesh. Yay. Come on, it's so scriptural. So Adam is love. He made man in his image, so he made man to love, not to need love. He made man to love because he's fulfilled in love. He's one with God. He's the source of love. He's one with God, right? Vine, branch. Yeah? When that branch got cut off from the vine through sin, he got cut off from the source of love and became in need of love because he lost his identity in God. Every one of us sitting here was born into that dilemma. We were all born into Adam needing love. And the truth is we were all created to be love, not need love. Because to know the love of Christ, which passes knowledge, is to be filled with all the fullness of God. Colossians 2, you're complete in him, who's the fullness of the Godhead bodily. You are complete in him. Be real with me. We've tried to find ourselves through one another and have been sorely disappointed. Why? We're looking for love in all the wrong places because we're so driven by the need of love. That's why the words "I love you" work no matter what the circumstances. They usually work because we all want to believe that we're loved, and we all need to be loved, and we all need to believe we're lovable, and it's a blight and a dilemma that came through separation from God. It wasn't from the beginning. The biggest lie in Christianity is to assess ourselves by ourselves and think this is who we are, when he said that's everything that's supposed to die. It's never who you were from the beginning. Like, God didn't make us this way, guys. We became this way through Adam and sin. We were born into Adam, and we must get born. And we turned that into a beneficial prayer that takes me to heaven when I die, instead of a truth that restores me back to the beginning and what God intended in the first place, where it's full of grace. Are you with me? Born again, the motive of born again is not a prayer to go to heaven someday. It's getting restored back to the reason we're here in the first place, and all things renewed. Yeah? To where I'm not in need of love because I've been loved and now I become love. Are you with me? Our whole lives were driven by the need of love. That's why most of us got hurt at a very young age. That's why people do so many terrible things to each other, because it's every man for himself at the cost of whoever. Love lays down its life for another. We grew up living at the expense of one another and people living at our expense. Total perversion, 180-degree twist. Yeah? Love lays down its life. Takes no account, doesn't consider the wrong that's been done to it. Why do we all have a story of how wrong we've been and how they did this, and I can't believe it, and never again. I ain't gonna, nobody's ever gonna do that again, and whoop, 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 whoop. Now you got walls all around you, and you become a product of men's sin instead of his righteousness. And you think you're winning because you cut them off, and they're actually deciding your person in the moment. That you wouldn't even be this person if it wasn't for them. You cut a person off and don't talk to them for 2 years and think you're winning because you cut them out of your life? No, they're dictating your heart every day. They're sculpting you. They're etching you. You're actually a living product of what you can't forgive. You're the direct result of the thing you think you're cutting off. See, unforgiveness is wretched because it keeps offense alive. But forgiveness is amazing because it makes it as if it never happened. That's what's so beautiful about the gospel. It's the design of heaven that the goodness of God would lead men to change. That even in your life, in times you say, well, I'm not gonna enable people. They ain't gonna turn me into no doormat. Was Jesus a doormat? Or was he the living epistle of love? Is he an enabler? Is he a pacifist? Or is he amazing? Yeah. I hung out with him this morning. He was pretty amazing. I was nervous coming out here. I thought I was going to be a mess. I feel all right. You say, you don't look all right. This is the best I can give you right now. I'm trying to stay a little okay. He's real. He's amazing. And he has purpose, right? Let's make sure it's not just a beneficial purpose for our sake, see? He made me for a reason on the earth. When I come into agreement with that reason, I'm going to walk in a full measure of grace.